Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan Hiller and I'm a filmmaker whose content you may have seen in places like these, and today is a very special day. I just saw NF in concert for the first time and I'm really excited to go back and react to one of his earlier videos, Leave Me Alone. But first, my wonderful fiance grew up partially in Stuttgart, Germany, and the only thing I know how to say in German is Ich liebe dich, which I hear is terrible pronunciation anyway. She would love to take me to Germany at some point to show me around where she grew up, and I need to brush up on my German, and for that, I'm going to use Babbel. Babbel is one of the top language learning apps in the world, and it's scientifically proven to help you start learning a new language in just 3 weeks.
Hallo, ich bin Freddy.
Hello, ich bin Freddy. And it's not even really that risky because they offer a 20-day money-back guarantee. And they really emphasize conversation. The lessons are designed by real language teachers. They offer a few different subscription options, and you can also sign up for a lifetime subscription. Click the link below to get 60% off your subscription now. All right, let's get into the reaction. Yeah. Ooh. This looks so beautiful. This is very David Fincher-esque. This is very vintage NF where you get almost a green sort of monotone washed out feel to the image and the color. But there's a lot of dynamic range in the image as well. The detail in the clouds is very held. It's a faded film look, but you also get a little bit of detail in the shadows. So it's a very crushed, very low contrast image, but a lot of dynamic range. And dynamic range is basically the camera's ability to see both into the light and the dark. So high dynamic range images reproduce almost what the eye sees, whereas low dynamic range images are very crunched. You can see from the shadow underneath the shopping cart that the light is very diffuse, so it's definitely behind a cloud for this wide shot. It's not as backlit as some of the other videos, say When I Grow Up, which was very, very backlit, but this is much more an overhead feel. So it's kind of a midday feel to the shot. I already love the way this starts. The location is also really interesting. There's so much going on in this location. So good.
Hey!
Ooh.
Panic stricken, handle business, not a joke, yeah. Manners missing, travel different, no control, yeah. Time to listen, time to zip it, keep it close. My description, highly gifted, take some notes, yeah. Lack of interest, why'd you visit, hit the road, yeah. I'm kinda twisted, so keep your distance, be a ghost. Yeah, see, I'm inventive, but quite the menace. You ain't know, well then I'm offended. Let's jog your memories, here we go, yeah. I went from nobody to kind of
So many good things going on here. The cuts are mostly on beat, which I really appreciate because that gives it a very syncopated, very rhythmic feel to the edit. It's almost the opposite of hiding the edits, which a lot of music video directors choose to do, where they cut not on the beat to hide the edit. But here it's very much a revealing of the rhythmic pace of the edit through cutting on the beat. There's also so much going on in terms of the extras in the background. Most of the extras are out of focus through shallow depth of field, so they're hiding this looming presence of other people behind him. And now you get a lot more of a backlit feel. NF almost always backlights his shots because he likes to keep his face in shadow. I noticed this in his concert the other day. Everything is very, very backlit. It was almost impossible to see his face during the show, which I just love that. It's this strange juxtaposition between so much vulnerability and also a hidden part of himself. I'm not sure, but this looks like a mental hospital, so pretty stark images here.
famous. Hide my plaques inside a closet, I just can't explain it. My wife, she tells me that she's proud and thinks that I should hang them, but I just leave them on the ground right next to my self-hatred. Yeah, mental health, where's my mental health? Diagnosed with OCD, what does that mean? We'll gather around. That means I obsessively obsess on things I think about. That means I might take a normal thought and think it's so profound. Ruminating, feel balloon.
Ooh, I might take a normal thought and think it's so profound. That is one of the beautiful definitions and tragic definitions of OCD. I've had OCD since I was a kid, and there's this constant, what I have now deemed the metalinguistic tornado, which is the thinking on top of the thinking. So there's this constant analysis of the world and what's happening, and analysis of thought, and it's exhausting until you learn how to deal with it and learn how to control it. And thankfully I have, and things have gotten so much better, but for a long time it was extremely hard. I love the way that NF uses black flickers and camera shake to cue a change in pace and a change in tone. It sort of gives the story in the video a place to go. Also, the location is really interesting. It's almost like a Western feel, but also this mental hospital feel. It's like, there's just a lot going on here. It's very cool.
Are full of doubts, do the same things. If I don't, I'm overwhelmed. Thoughts are pacing. They go round and round and round. It's so draining. Let's move on to something else. Fine. Running the game if they don't even know it. Like I'm undercover and know when to blow it. I come out of nowhere, they don't even notice. The flow is so cold you would think it was slowing. I'm under the weather, but wind isn't blowing. I got an umbrella for difficult moments. You gotta admit it, I'm very devoted. I'm out in the rain, but it don't always alright. Hold up my balloons and cover up my face. I can feel them weighing on me every day. I should let them go and watch them float away. But I'm scared if I do, then I'll be more afraid. Tell them how I feel, but they don't wanna change. Tell them how I feel, but they remain the same. Loosen up my grip, they say that's not okay. Quiet, 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 quiet. Hey, leave me alone. Hey, yeah. Quiet, 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 quiet. Yeah, leave me alone. Yeah. Quiet, 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 quiet. Yeah, leave me alone. I hate when they debate if we're underrated. We're so overlooked that they're looking over our numbers, Nathan. We don't do enough interviews or go out in public lately.
Oh, I love this shot. The slow reveal of the audience in the foreground. So he's talking to an audience, but it's so slow. I noticed this in the concert the other night. NF builds so slowly with so much tension. It's the cinematic quality to everything he does. You notice that in where the videos go from a storytelling perspective, but you also notice it in individual shots, which I love that here. It's like we don't know what's going on until the last moment, and then we know what's going on. In psychology, we call this the anticipatory phase and the experiential phase. And those phases are experienced in different parts of the caudate in the brain. This is why music is so intertwined with film, because you build up anticipation, and then there's a payoff, there's a chorus. So the verse builds the anticipation, the chorus pays it off. And in film, you do very much the same thing. There's a building of tension and there's a payoff. So the hiding of information and then the reveal. I love it.
We don't post enough on our socials to keep the buzz from fading. Let it fade, yeah, let it fade. Once it's decimated, then you drop a song out of nowhere and all the fans embrace it. Then the buzz will surface again as part of my operation. I don't need advice from my doubts right now, end of conversation. Shut your mouth, yeah, shut your mouth. Better tone it down, close it now. If you make a sound, I'ma change it down. Funny how they be acting loud, coming unannounced, floating round. Man, the kid is wild, pretty wild, true. I'm kinda funny but don't really show it. I keep it together but have a disorder. I go to my room and I sit in my corner and talk to myself in a language that's foreign. I think of a rhyme and I have to record it, but no, if I don't, I wake up in the morning and question my life again, always avoiding. I hate to be different, but hate to be normal, so I hold up my balloons and cover.
That was so cool. So he's speaking every lyric as it goes, and then right in the end, he looks in the camera and he's not mouthing any of the lyrics. So he just stares into the camera. That is such a cool, tiny little choice that is so good from a directorial perspective. That is awesome.
Rub my face, I can feel them weighing on me every day. I should let them go and watch them float away. But I'm scared if I do, then I'll be more afraid. Tell them how I feel, but they don't wanna change. Tell them how I feel, but they remain the same. Loosen up my grip, they say that's not okay. Quiet, 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 quiet. Hey, leave me alone. Hey, yeah.
So this is really interesting. This is the way that color grade can really inform the inconsistencies that happen in the light. The light in the beginning was very hard. It was very direct. It was creating a lot of shadows, a lot of color contrast. The last few scenes have almost been entirely cloud cover, so it's very, very diffused light. But it's still contrasty. There's still color there. And that's very much in the color grade. This is why colorists are so important to the process, because most people would not notice the difference between the contrasty light and the diffused light, but it's there. There's definitely a difference, but it seems very seamless. And I don't know if they did this on purpose, but it seems like they used that scene where NF is speaking to everyone as kind of a bridge between the two light contrasts, which I don't know if that worked out or if that was planned, but brilliant.
Quiet, 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 quiet. Yeah, leave me alone. Yeah, quiet, 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 quiet. Yeah, leave me alone. Remember back in No Name, I said fame called. Told you I hung up, it kinda felt wrong. Finally called him back, we didn't talk long. He asked me how I'd been, I sent him this song. Yeah, think he took offense, he kinda seemed off. I texted him that night to ask what he thought. It took a couple days to get a response, but once I finally did, he said the song sucks. Feel the symptoms, couldn't miss him, wrestle with them, then I pin and flip him. Brought some backup, Noah, you should get some. Who you dissing? Mood is switching, don't come in the kitchen, you should listen. Cooking record for my hands are blistering. So persistent, don't forget this, hold attention. Soul is bending, no pretending, open-ended, low percentage, so demented. Whole consensus, flow tremendous, no apprentice, no incentive. Show intensive, so possessive, tone aggressive. Watch your step when I hold up my balloons and cover up my face. I can feel them weighing on me.
Now the camera is handheld. Again, NF does this so well where the camera itself mirrors what's happening in the story. That first shot was definitely a crane shot, but then the camera was very steady. It was orbiting NF quite a bit in the beginning of the video, and now it's in the cart and it's a handheld camera. So the handheld introduces chaos. Some directors use it the whole time, so a handheld camera the whole time. Some directors choose very specific moments to introduce that chaos. And Patrick Tohill and NF, in their collaboration, have done this so beautifully. They have a very specific feel, a very controlled feel to the camera for most of the video. And then at a certain point, they introduce chaos. They introduce the handheld camera. It's brilliant.
Every day, I should let them go and watch them float away. But I'm scared if I do, then I'll be more afraid. Leave me alone, leave me alone, yeah, leave me alone, leave me alone, yeah, leave me alone, leave me alone, yeah, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone, hey, leave me alone, hey, yeah, quiet, yeah, leave me alone.
Oh. That's so cool. So he's deciding in the end whether or not to give away his burdens. The balloons are the burdens in all of NF's music, and he's deciding whether or not he wants to give them away, like give his burdens away. And it's so interesting too, in the beginning there were these patients that were just sort of wandering around, had no purpose. And maybe through that conversation that NF had with them before, he's teaching them how to externalize their internal burdens, which is very important in the therapeutic process, is to take all that's in here and externalize it. And the balloons are an external representation of that internal suffering, the burdens. Maybe that's the symbolism here, I'm not sure, but that's a beautiful representation if it is. Also, something really interesting they did was it looks like it's a day to night sort of feel. It looks like a day in the life of feel. So it starts out very much midday, you have a little bit of contrast as the day goes on, and then in the end it's very diffused, it's very dark. So you have this day to night feel to the day in the life of this human being and these human beings. It's really cool. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you like that video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.